The guys that are like ready to go on the fly, like 80% of my leads are going to them because I want the sale. I don't want to wait 6 months to get paid $15,000. I want $15,000 now, right? So it's more risk to it. There's more effort to it. But the payoff is definitely there.
But I'm curious, and I think most people would be curious, like, what is your tech stack? How many websites are you running? How do you get calls? Who's answering the calls? Who's qualifying the leads? Like, how stressed are you day to day? If your commissions were 30 to 40 last month or this month, like, how hard did you work for that now that the system's set up? Like, I have so many questions, right? So before we get into it, I think you're really going to like this interview. So Seth is part of the Rank Expand Academy, and he does things totally different than most people, and he reaps the benefits. And he's very transparent about his tactics. I think there's going to be people out there who could instantly take these ideas you see in this video, and it can make a huge difference in your life. And I'm excited because the concept that we talked about here is getting teased out more and more in the academy. We're bringing some ideas to you right here in this video. There's a lot here to unpack, so let's jump in. So Seth, we recently met in the academy, and you told us some things in the last week's meeting that blew my mind. So you have a microsite model. Well, just tell us about it. What do you got going on?
Yeah, so it's pretty unique. So first of all, I started as a digital marketer 7, 8 years ago. I've been dabbling with it, built some websites along the way. I've been learning SEO. And 2 years ago, I started to take my business more seriously. So I took on more traditional retainer clients. And 2 years ago, I started by cold calling some guys to get them on a month-to-month hosting website, like a rank and rent, right? So here's the full circle thing. I own those websites still. Those guys don't pay me rank and rent anymore. Instead, they're on my commission deal, which is my paper job deal. So it's come full circle, and I revamped those websites, which are branded under their names, right? So it's their business, but I own those leads still, even though it's branded under their
So do they
business, and
have
they're okay with that.
they have their primary website still and these websites?
No, so their primary website is my rank and rent
Wow.
website for them. So for example, one of them is .com, or Addie's or main.com. I was using the power of EMDs 2 years ago, and the name of the builder is Contractors, and I've got his branding all through it, and the GMB is tied to it and stuff like that. And I got a couple other branded websites like that I've structured in the microsite, or I'm working on finishing structuring in the microsite format that you guys have got here. I feel like you guys have a very unique structure with the service areas and then the location pages being separate. It's a very useful, definitely very optimal structure. I can see the sense behind it. Those websites that I just referenced aren't, performing anywhere near as good as I want them to be, but I'm sure if they were structured properly, they'd be multiplied, right? But they've been pulling in leads. Each website's probably been pulling in 5-10 leads a month, and I own those leads. So basically what I thought to myself is, well, if I'm only getting 25-30 leads total across all my websites right now per month, that's not a lot of volume, right? It's not a lot of meat on the bone. I'm a father of two. My daughter is 3 months old. My son is 2 years old. I got a wife. We're renting a house. We're trying to save for a house in the next 6-7 months to buy. So it's like, okay, well, and I'm looking at quitting my full-time job, which I did 2 months ago now, and I've been full-time for myself for 2 months. So my thought is, well, 30 leads isn't a lot of meat on the bone to sell, especially if you can only sell a lead for $100 to $150 a piece, right? That's only $3,000, $4,500 a month. So I'm thinking to myself, there's this question nagging at me: how much is this lead actually worth? Like, how much can I actually squeeze out of this lead? And then it hit me. Well, I have expertise in the industry. I'm a construction guy. For the last 8 years, I went to school for it and worked for general contractors. I built houses. I, did restoration, carpentry, historic restoration. I worked for commercial carpenters. I did project management. I did sales. So I've seen all aspects of the industry in 8 years, and that insight to me has left me comfortable enough to actually go out to the leads' houses. Like, so for example, if somebody wants to build a $125,000 garage, and it's 30 minutes up the road. I went out to their house. I talked to them about what they want, talked to them about the site plan, just the initial meeting of what a contractor would do. I took down all that information for the contractor and said, okay, here you go, Mr. Contractor. And then him and I have a preset percentage-based agreement. So the pay model is this. It's a scalable commission structure based on the volume of the job. So, for example, 0 to 50,000 is 10%. 50 to 100,000 is like 9%. 100,000 to 150,000 is 8%, right? And then it caps at 250 up for 5%. And I figured that's the fairest, right? If I'm putting in an equal amount of work roughly per job, maybe 2-3 hours per job with gathering the information, working the customer, keeping them happy, then, I feel like that's a fair model to most guys. And I actually talked with a general contractor last night. Him and I were chatting until 11:30 p.m. About this business model because he was pretty excited about it. And he was telling me how he actually already pays that when a realtor or an insurance broker brings them a job, right? He pays the 4%. He already pays the 5%. So it's not out of the question to pay 5% on a $200,000 job, which, if you get 6 or 7 of those a month, I mean, you're doing really well.
So like, what is the reality of your life now that you have a few contractors under this model? I'm assuming the websites are pulling in leads. You're qualifying them. Like, what can the numbers be for someone who wants to squeeze as much juice out of these websites as possible?
Yeah, great point. So, I mean, I don't, to be clear, this month I have five different projects in the works right now. One fell through since Wednesday, which is okay. But 5 that are seriously going through, and in total commissions are probably going to be sitting right around 30 to 32,000 for this month. And the I don't feel anywhere near my capacity. Like, I've still got time to do this. I've still got time to work on my websites. I've still got time to have breakfast and lunch and dinner with my family. So I'm not pulling my hair out yet. And granted, I feel like this principle, right? Not many people are going to be in the contractor industry, but I feel like this principle could be applied across all industries. So you imagine, I was thinking about it. Well, what about somebody who's doing like, dental office work, and they're doing marketing for dentists or something like that, or they're doing marketing for, I don't know, name a niche.
Asbestos.
Okay. Yeah. They're doing marketing for asbestos, but they have some foreknowledge, some experience with that where they're comfortable enough, or maybe they don't. Maybe they ask ChatGPT, hey, what do I need to know to qualify a customer for this niche? Right. So this is the principle that it taught me that I feel it can be applied across all avenues is business owners don't want well, some business owners do want leads. Like, it's a totally legit business model. I'm not knocking that. It's a great business model if you don't want to do the sales stuff, right? But way more business owners, and I have a testimony to tie into this, which I think will be really, really interesting. But way more business owners don't just want the leads. They want someone who is going to qualify them, and they just want the business, right? They don't want to have to call the leads for it to maybe or maybe not go through. They don't want to have to work the lead and then, 1 in 10 end up turning into a sale, because they don't see the problem with most business owners is that they don't see the 1 in 10 paying off the 9 that they lost and then giving them an ROI. They just see the 9 that they lost and it's, wasted money. So if you can bridge that gap, then I think there's a lot of money to be made there. So for example, before I did this model, I was exploring pay per lead with paid ads and SEO, and everybody that I pitched it to, it was a much harder sell. It was like 1 in 6, 1 in 7 said yes, yeah, that sounds good. We can do pay per lead or we can do pay per appointment. It was just a much harder sell. But since I converted to this pay per job model, literally every single contractor, with exception of maybe a couple, have said yes, and I've gotten to sign the agreement. So I have 35 contractors in my network right now that are ready to take jobs from me. So really the bottleneck is with me.
Wow.
And how many leads and jobs I can funnel them, because it's a win-win. It's like, yeah, I've got nothing to lose. I'm only paying you if I get the job anyway, and I know what I'm paying up front because it's a percentage basis, right? So it's not like a guessing game where, oh crap, I got to pay maybe 15 or 20 leads, spend a few grand before I can land a job, right? It's a big question mark in their mind. But if I know that I'm going to pay you $5,000 upfront for a job where I'm going to make $100,000, then yeah, it's a no-brainer. Um, so
In their mind, maybe it's like, okay, Seth is an SEO wizard. He knows how to do websites. If he gets a lead, great. I get a swing at the plate. And if I don't hit it, I don't pay anything. I have like zero risk.
exactly, that's exactly right. And so and the beauty of that both ways is I'm able to give that lead out to three guys. They don't feel like they're getting shafted because I'm giving it out to three guys, right? Because they're not losing anything. And at the same time, too, my chances of actually winning the lead are three times greater, you know?
Right, you're right. And okay, let's talk about the client though. So the actual person doing the renovation, like how do they feel about this arrangement?
So, the contracting world is a pretty unique space for that, because so many people have gotten screwed over by contractors. So many people have gotten stolen from contractors that do shoddy workmanship, contractors that will just ghost them, not communicate well. Right. Everybody has that horror story. They have a family member who's gone through that horror story. Like, it's such a prevalent fear that my whole marketing is centered around that fear. My sales pitch is centered around that fear of, hey, the guys that I've got in my network, they do good work, right? They're reliable, they're trustworthy. And then from a real practical perspective, I keep all their insurances, I keep their licenses on file, and I make them renew annually for it. So there is merit behind the fact that these are legitimate contractor businesses that are going to be coming into your house, potentially seeing your kids, seeing your family, and, you're seeing the most intimate parts of your home and revamping them, right? So anyway, all that to say, the clients love it. Everybody that I've shared this with loves it, because they're like, this is such a need, because whenever I call somebody, Friday, no, Saturday, I went out to a customer's site. They told me, yeah, I called a dozen people. One person got back to me 3 months later, and they finally did the work. I'm like, wow, okay, that's crazy. Monday, I went out to another customer's house, and they were like, yeah, I called 4 or 5 people. No one got back to me. And somebody called me 6 weeks later asking me if I was still open to doing the job. And they were like, dude, you called me 6 weeks later. I don't even want to deal with you. If that's like, if you're waiting 6 weeks to call me. So, if I'm on the ball with calling them within 2 minutes of the lead coming in, right? And I'm on the ball with, texting them every day, and, just having that communication line open, building that relationship, instilling that confidence. Like, yeah, they're stoked about it. They're happy about that.
Let's talk about, I love that. I mean, you do get all the juice out of the squeeze because you are going the extra mile. But I'm curious, and I think most people would be curious, like, what is your tech stack? How many websites are you running? How do you get calls? Who's answering the calls? Who's qualifying the leads? Like, how stressed are you day to day? If your commissions were 30 to 40 last month or this month, like, how hard did you work for that now that the system's set up? Like, I have so many questions, right?
All right. So let's start with number of websites. I have 4 websites up and running right now, 3 of which are branded from other contractors, one of which are mine, like my actual business. All 4 of those websites are pulling in leads that I own. Collectively, it's like, 20, slow months, maybe 15 to 20 leads, better months, 25 to 30 leads. Out of the amount of leads, but here's my workflow. We'll get to the phone calls in a second. Here's my workflow for the leads. The moment a lead will come in, if it's during business hours, because I like to spend time with my family. If it's during business hours, I hop on it right then and there. I stop whatever I'm doing and I call them. I text them and I email them. Because on all my forms, I ask for their name, email, phone number. So I'll call them, I will text them, I will email them. Realistically, 1 in 3, 1 in 4, I'd say are legit and actually call me back. So, now I'm dealing with 8 to 10 qualified leads a month, right? And then out of those 8 to 10 qualified leads, I'm working to schedule the appointment, or I try to qualify them on the phone before if if I can avoid visiting their house. And I want to say too, I don't always visit their house. I will oftentimes set up the appointment just between them and the contractors. But before I even get to that stage, whether I'm setting up the appointments with the contractors or whether or not I'm going out to their house to meet them, I will try to pre-qualify them as much as I can on the phone. So I know price ranges of jobs because I've been in the industry. I know what's reasonable, what's not. So if somebody says, I want to build a 4-bay garage with a big loft above, totally finished, and it's going to, but my budget is $65,000. It's like, well, I don't think that's going to work for you. I think we can get you a 1-bay garage, without any of the nicks and necks. So, I try to pre-qualify them on the phone so that way I'm not wasting time. That initial phone call might take 2 to 5 minutes, right? It's not much. And then on that initial phone call, if I feel like they're qualified, if I feel like they're serious, if I feel like it's legit, then I will go out and schedule the appointment, or I'll go out and from myself. Then drive time. So you got maybe an hour and a half of drive time. If I'm going out there and doing it myself, granted, I'm only going out there and doing it for myself if I feel like it's a high ticket, like this needs to happen now kind of thing. Or if it's something that I feel like is a little bit more relaxed, or I don't really care if I get it as much, then I'll schedule the contractors to go out and have that first impression. I've done that a good handful of times. So, I mean, if I go out there, maybe it's another couple hours of my time. If I schedule the contractors to go out there, it's 5 minutes of my time of texting. Hey, when can Trevor go out there? When does that work for you? Right? Hey, Trevor, you good to go out there at this daytime? Right? So it's minutes of texting to set up the appointment, and then I follow up a few days later. Right? I say, hey, how did it go with contractor X? How did it go with contractor Y? How did it go with contractor Z? And then I text the contractors, hey, how did it go with homeowner A? Right? So again, a couple minutes of texting a few days later. Then the job goes through. I'm helping the contractors just figure out the logistics of it, just kind of verbally talk through it. A lot of these guys are kind of disorganized from a business perspective. So I kind of just help them talk some common sense through the job, maybe another 20, 30-minute phone call about it. They close the job. And when they get paid, this is the deal that I have with them. When they get paid is when I get paid. There's no delay. If they delay beyond 5 days, they're out of the game, right? Just so that way they know that there's stakes in it for them, and not to mess around with me getting paid. So,
But there's usually 3 draws to these contracts, so you get paid percentage on each draw.
I'll get paid my full
Oh, wow.
commission up front.
Awesome.
Yeah. When they get paid, I get paid in full. When they
Wow.
get paid first, I get paid in full.
Yeah.
So that's how I have it. I have one exception to that on a job that's right now. It's a $500,000 solar job. So I spaced that out in thirds. So for the sake of the contractor, truth be told, they'll probably never do that again because it's been so much legwork. We've been working on this job since actually August of this year, and 4 months later, here we are. And I've gotten paid 2 out of the 4 payments I'm owed.
But that's like that commission alone is 20, 25.
That commission alone is like about $28,000.
Wow. So you have 4 websites. You nurture the lead. You sell it. You don't even sell it. You give it to 3 guys to bid on. Whoever gets the job. They pay you a commission.
Yep, exactly.
So what's the next
That's
step
exactly
for you?
right.
Like, it doesn't sound like you're killing yourself for this type of commissions. Like, what are you doing now to scale this out?
Well, so I'm following the blueprint. I am figuring out how I can take these templates that I've created. I think I've iterated on a couple community calls before. I've spent a lot of hours from a web design perspective just working on my own templates tailored to contractor websites that I feel like are pretty good. So I'm figuring out how to duplicate those at scales using the microsite strategy, using Kirby. So that's a system I'm working on right now. If I feel like I can, and I just bought 20 domains on GoDaddy a couple of weeks ago. So I bought general contractor down the list of towns. I bought custom home builder down the list of towns, and I want to buy garage builders. I want to buy deck builders, right? I want to buy all these different domains, but I figured I'd start small. So,
You're
Yeah.
going to expand services too, though, not just sticking with like garage, and you'll go
Yes.
after everything. So you're not afraid of acquiring new relationships with contractors.
No, no, definitely not. In fact, honestly, I'm at a point now where I don't even want any more relationships with contractors because it's like for me to hit capacity with the amount of relationships that I have now and the agreements that I have now, I think it's like 32 or 35, somewhere in that range. Um, like I have to I have to be breaking in a lot of leads, right? I'll be pulling my hair out at that point. So it's like I don't necessarily need more contractors. But the interesting thing is I know all of their timelines. So most contractors are booked out 3, 6, 9, 12 months, right? They're very rarely do you have a contractor that is ready to go on the fly. But I do have a few guys like that. And what's interesting is that it's like 80-20. The guys that are like ready to go on the fly, like 80% of my leads are going to them because I want the sale. I don't want to wait 6 months to get paid $15,000. I want $15,000 now, right? So yeah.
Let's pretend someone watching this they're like, wow, Seth is making good money. It's a little over my head. Like, could you distill, like for newbies, just distill what's going on here? Like,
Yep.
I don't know what you mean by any of this. What are you talking about, man?
Okay. All right. Let's break it down super simple. Create a website. Website gets lead. You're the salesperson. All right. So you're not just the marketer. You're the salesperson. That's how you need to think of it. And you own the lead, right? And think of it from a customer service perspective. If you've had any experience with customer service, you want to make sure somebody feels like they're being taken care of. If there's anywhere where the ball is dropped, they want to make sure it's picked back up quickly. So with that being said, you make a website. You figure out that skill. The lead comes in. You get over the hump of, oh crap, I don't want to get on the phone. You call them. You say, hey, my name is Seth and I'm your friend, right? You get to know them, get to know their project, get to know what they're trying to do. Um, and granted, whatever niche you're in, if you have some expertise in that niche, like if it's a veterinarian niche, then have some knowledge about veterinarians, right? And what the services they provide. But we'll stick to builders. So if you have some knowledge about it, you acquire that the initial, intake of information, like, okay, this is what you're trying to do. Then you go out, you reach out to some local, we'll stick to builders. You reach out to some local builders, say, hey, I've got this lead. This is what they're trying to do. They're serious about it. I'm not asking you to pay me up front, right? I'm not asking you to do like a whole Angie's List deal. Everybody knows Angie's List. Nobody likes Angie's List. And I'm not asking you to pay me up front. Instead, what I want you to do is I just want you to work the lead. And if you end up closing the job, you just pay me something when you close the job, right? And then that offer is already so interesting, they're going to say yes. When they say yes, they sign an agreement with you, a preset agreement on a scalable commission structure, meaning it scales down for the smaller volume jobs. I start at 10%. You can do whatever you want, but 10%, 9%, 8%, some would say, all the way down to 2.5% maybe. So if it's a $75,000 job, maybe you get 8% on that or something. Yeah. And you follow up with the contractor when they close. You follow up with the homeowner or whoever the client is. And, just keep a good temperature on it. It's really what it comes down to. All these follow ups are about keeping a temperature on where the project is at, where the sale is at. When it goes through, then you ask the contractor, okay, when are they paying you? Oh, well, they're going to pay me next week. Okay. All right. Well, according to our agreement, you're going to pay me within 5 business days, right? Yeah. Okay, great. All right. Well, so I expect a payment in 2 weeks when they pay you in next week. Um, so yeah, I mean, that's really all it comes down to. And then rinse and repeat.
Just to repeat. What excites me the most, and I think about people who watched this channel 2 years ago when ChatGPT first came out, people were still making niche websites, right? Any website, but they all got slapped when the helpful content update happened, right? Those people who built those websites have SEO skills, no doubt. If they were to dabble in local SEO, build a local website, I tell people it is way easier. It is way easier. I mean, man,
Oh
like,
yeah, the competition is so crazy low. If you find there's tons of keywords out there, tons of services that you can do that for.
My three ingredients, I did a video on this recently, was you have to pick your right niche. What is a right niche? I mean, you have a niche that you have literally sold a $500,000 job, right? So there has to be enough money there, right?
Yeah, there has to be enough money for sure.
But then
I
location.
mean, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So niche, right? Then location. Like how big is your geographic circle around where you are?
I stay within an hour, hour and a half right now, and mind you, it's not necessarily limited by my what I'm willing to do. It's based on where my contractors are. So I've got 30 to 35 contractors within an hour and a half radius of me that if I needed to send them out to the jobs and work it, I could.
Right. So it's the contingent on that. And I can easily see you scaling up to a salesman, so you don't have to be the guy,
Yeah, that's the plan.
is it? And I can see you hitting 100 a month. I think that's very attainable for you.
Yeah, that's the hope, you know? I mean, if I can get to a point where 50, 60 leads are coming in and I have an AI voice agent that's doing the initial pre-qualification and then it's passed down to me once it's qualified, then yeah, I could totally see that happening. I mean, you hit the nail on the head there. There has to be enough meat on the bone, right? So it's like if you're selling for example, a $5,000 service, okay? Um, well, let's play out the math real quick, okay? Let's play out the math of pay per lead. This is going to be interesting to you. Some people are going to be thinking to themselves, "Well, yeah, I can just sell 20 leads and make 2 grand." Okay, great. You sold 20 leads, but think about this: how many of those leads could have turned into jobs? And then if you earned a percentage on those jobs, now the value is really like 10 times greater. And it really just comes down to how much effort do you want to put in? Do you want to be a sales guy? Do you want to be a customer service guy? Maybe some people are getting out of those jobs to get into marketing because they're tired of people. Okay, that's fine. It's totally viable. It's a legit way to go. You can automate the whole lead thing, right? I mean, you don't to where you're totally hands off. That's absolutely possible. In other words, if you got 500 leads coming in from all your sources, paid ads and SEO, you don't have to do anything with them. Technically, you can just distribute them and have the system set up in place where you're selling them. Uh, but the way I see it, those same 500 leads, like there's 10 times more meat on the bone if you're willing to just take a couple extra steps, and step outside your comfort zone a little bit, take a little bit more of a risk.
I see people do this. I've seen people do this, and it progresses into true equity of businesses.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
interests me.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Equity, it's a sweet spot, man. I had an interesting conversation with a lawyer once. I don't know. I honestly don't, I'm not a lawyer by any stretch. Uh, and obviously general contracting is such a high liability niche. He gave me the advice. He's like, how you can take advantage of equity without the liability is through profit sharing.
Which is what you do,
So
right?
you could do well, not quite. No. What I do is commission-based sales, right? Profit sharing is the whole fruit of the business,
All of it.
right? The
Mm.
whole kit and caboodle. So now it's like, well, if you have a really solid partnership with somebody, this is like the dream for every marketer, right? If you have a really solid partnership with somebody, you don't have any capital, right? You're just a talented know-it-all guy. Um, but the business owner sees you as like an invaluable asset because of what you know. Like this is the sweet spot, right? This is where you're able to say, okay, I want 10%, 15% profit sharing or equity of your business, and I'm going to help you build out all the systems for your business. Like I'm going to help you with AI, I'm going to help you with the freaking websites, I'm going to help you like with automating it, I'm going to help you, figuring out all the problems with your business. And now you're really cooking because 10 to 15% on a $5 million a year business.
It's huge.
I mean, hey, it's a solid living, right? And you
It's
could do that again and again and again and again.
if anyone's considering that, and I am working towards that right now, I have a niche that we're building out. And by the way, we're about to just launch a module in the academy where me and Sean tested auto verification on GMBs, and it
Oh,
worked.
nice.
And it worked.
Whoa.
Yeah. So here's the idea, though. I have a friend. I trust him. He has a very lucrative business. And it's like, I'm not going to go to him and pitch the idea like, I want profit sharing. Like that's not going to work. What I'm going to do
Right.
is build 50 microsites pump leads his way for free. And then he's like, dude, this is awesome. And then we have a conversation, right? You have to prove yourself first, I think. And it's not hard to
Yeah.
prove yourself with these systems, but it's not all roses, right? Like I see people in the community struggle often because it's pretty darn technical to build these microsites, right? I mean, like from your perspective, you are a technical guy. Like from difficulty 1 to 10, how hard is it? Like, can anyone do this? What is your opinion?
Um, Microsites, Kirby CMS right out of the gate. I mean, yeah, you do need that base level knowledge, I would say, base level experience of dabbling in some SEO and web design. So on a scale, if you're willing to apply yourself, you could probably be like a 4 or 5 out of 10. Start the journey realistically, right? Maybe do you agree with that assessment?
I agree. And I think that would be most people who binge watch YouTube SEO videos. Like you have the knowledge, I would say.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's what it comes down to. And, execution is going to be everything. So, how much time can you dedicate to actually doing what you learned? That's going to be the part that either filters whether or not you're going to make money or not. So, yeah, I think what you guys have here is a really unique, solid option. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'll say it on the podcast. I mean, I think that this is the best school community. I've been a part of half a dozen or so in the past. Just nowhere near the value that you guys are cranking out and providing. So you're doing an amazing job with that.
Now, there was more to this conversation, but unfortunately, we had a software glitch and error that we lost like the second half. Kind of a bummer, but I want to thank Seth for taking time to be here with me today talking about microsites, talking about how to, I think, scale it to the highest degree, squeeze as much juice out of this concept as possible. I mean, think about it. You have 4 websites that are producing potentially 40 a month in commissions to one person, and he's just getting going. So I'm excited to see what he does in the future. If you have any questions, join the Academy. I'm in there daily. There's a lot of people, hundreds of people. It's one of the fastest growing school communities, having a lot of fun in there. So yeah, thanks for watching. Please subscribe, please like, please comment questions you have, and I'll see you on the next one.